So just finding yourself in your seated position, closing your eyes. Today is going to be more of an insight inquiry type of meditation. Your hands can be on your lap, palms faced up, palms face down, or one palm resting atop the other palm faced up. Taking a couple of deep breaths. And just beginning to notice all the different places where your body meets the surface underneath you. And just noticing the support you feel by the surface underneath you. When you're ready, bringing your attention to your breath, noticing where your breath goes as you breathe in and where it goes as you breathe out. And just becoming aware of all the ways in which your breath is almost like a bridge between your outer world and your inner world, and noticing how with each breath you can begin to draw a little more closely into your inner world and into that place where everything that you've ever known or sensed or felt or imagined or dreamed or experienced is recorded. And as you come into this place, just allowing all of your inner senses, your senses of sight and sound, smell, touch, taste, to open, but especially allowing your sixth sense, that sense of just knowing, to begin to open quite widely as you perhaps become aware of the presence of a wise teacher or a guide who may appear in any form that has meaning to you, as a mythic or angelic figure, or an animal or plant, or a light or a sound even. And just noticing where the presence of this teacher might be, whether it's in front of you or behind you or to the left or right, and just knowing that we're here today to gain some insight into your relationship to generosity, particularly any conscious or unconscious fears that you might have around generosity. And just allowing yourself now to focus on yourself and your relationship to being generous with yourself. Knowing that you can't be generous with anyone else if you can't first be generous with yourself. So, what is your relationship, the nature of how you relate to being generous with yourself? And just allowing any thoughts or words or images, memories or emotions to arise as you ponder this question. What is the nature of my relating to generosity with myself? Is it particularly hard or easy for you to be generous with yourself? And just knowing that you have your guide or teacher here, and if you need any help and understanding your relationship, the nature of how you relate to being generous with yourself, that this teacher can show you or help you in words or images, and just trusting anything that is arising for you right now with this inquiry. Noticing if you have any fear around being generous with yourself. Is there any fear or thought that it's not okay to be generous with yourself? How do you spend your days? Do you have a self-care routine? Or do you fill your days running around taking care of others and not really thinking too much about yourself? And is what you think is a self-care routine truly a self-care routine, or is it something that's just another thing on your to-do list because you should do it or it's good for you to do? And when you're generous with yourself, does it ever bring up any feelings of guilt or I shouldn't be doing this, I should be doing something else instead? When you're generous with yourself, do you ever fear what other people might think about being generous with yourself. And what would it look like if you could be free of any fear of being generous with yourself? No fear, no guilt. Not being selfish, but just being generous. What would that look like? What would it feel like? How might you show up differently in your life than you do now if you had no fear of being generous with yourself? And just letting any insights that you've had through this inquiry to find their way into your being. Let them go for now as you turn your attention to the inquiry of being generous with others. What is your relationship to generosity with others, and what conscious or unconscious fears might you hold on to about being generous with others? Is there any part of you that withholds being generous because perhaps there's a fear that you might be taken advantage of, or that people will become dependent on you if you're too generous? So there needs to be some withholding. What is the nature of your relating to generosity with others? Do you perhaps ever have the thought that people should be able to take care of themselves rather than waiting for others to help them? Or maybe that there's just some people in life who don't deserve your generosity. Where are those places in your life and in your relating to others that you hold back or have a fear of being generous? just allowing any insights that might come to you to arise, perhaps as thoughts or words or images, and trusting whatever information, whatever insights are arising for you now. Is there even the thought or the feeling that you don't have enough to be generous? Does generosity look a certain way for you? Do you equate generosity with a certain type of giving? Money or time or things that you just, for some reason or other, feel like you don't have, so you can't be generous. And as you inquire and do these inquiries around the way in which you relate to the nature of generosity with others, just notice once again and trust what's arising for you, knowing that as you bring these awarenesses to the surface, it allows you to see them and work with them. It allows you to see more clearly why you are the way you are, and perhaps gives you more insight into why others are the way they are, especially in this realm of generosity. And just letting go of any insights around the inquiry of your fear of generosity or being generous with others, and bringing up a new and a final inquiry around the fear of receiving generosity from others. And noticing for yourself, what is it like? How do you feel? What do you think? Around receiving from others? Is it hard or easy for you to receive? Do you have any mental stories or mental constructs around what it means to receive generosity from others? Are there any suspicions, or is there a part of you that might be suspicious about generosity, the generosity of others, that maybe people are being generous because they want something from you in return? Or is there the feeling that you're not deserving of receiving generosity from others? Does it feel more comfortable to give to others than to receive? And what is that about, if so? Do you put up any barriers when people are generous with you? When someone gives you a gift out of pure generosity, do you put up any physical, mental, or emotional barriers around it? And just allowing whatever arises for you as insights to just be information, bringing awareness to the nature of how you relate to generosity, being generous with yourself, being generous with others, and receiving generosity from others. Trusting any insights that arise for you, any thoughts, memories, or emotions, and knowing that, again, you have the support of your guide or teacher here, if there is one, and that you're supported in this journey. Knowing that all of these insights that you've just had around the nature of your relating to generosity are helping you to become a more generous person. Letting go of any fears of being generous with yourself or others, or fears of receiving generosity from others, is the first step in being truly generous. So just bringing your awareness, your attention gently back to your breath. Allowing your breath to be a bridge between your inner world and your outer world. And allowing yourself with each breath to resurface back to your outer world, bringing with you all of the insights that you've just had in this inquiry, in this meditation journey. Slowly re-emerging, perhaps wiggling your fingers or toes, coming back into your body, stretching a little bit, and in your own timing, just coming back into the room, opening your eyes. bringing all of your insights with you. All right, so welcome back from our practice and our journey, and I highly recommend that you journal or write down any insights that have come out of this particular inquiry practice. This was not as for those of you who've been coming, you know, this was not a traditional meditation practice. This was one of our inquiry practices. But inquiry, self-inquiry, is one of the paths to awakening and liberation. So it's critical that we take a look at our thoughts and the way we relate to different aspects of the great mystery of life, so that we can begin to clear those and act from a place of clarity and non-attachment and non-aversion. So that's, as I sort of finish up today, the last thing is this piece is very important in our karma and when we work with karma. So selfishness is often a grasping, right, a wanting an attachment to something. So it's the opposite of generosity. So we want to take a look at that. When we act from a place of true generosity, we're not acting from a place of attachment or aversion. So it heals and it helps the good of the whole, right? So that's just something to think about. And we're going to be unpacking this whole topic of generosity over the coming days and weeks of practice, and really exploring, what does generosity mean? I think that it's something that we don't explore too much too often. And like I said, this month, November, is often the month of Thanksgiving. So there's a lot of talk about gratitude, but not so much talk about generosity, which is why I wanted to flip the script a little bit and talk about generosity this month. And gratitude is a part of that. That will tie in. But that is it for today. Thank you, everyone, so much for joining in our practice session. And we'll be together again on Tuesday morning. So have a wonderful, safe, and beautiful weekend ahead of you. Take care and namaste. Bye for now.